Hello, welcome to Words Have Power Murder Hour. My name is Shelly, and today we are talking about something I've been watching and kind of keeping an eye on, and this falls directly into my favorite hobby, seeing stalkers go to prison. This is the ATD stalker case, but I'm going to be talking about more than just that. All right. According to DallasNews.com, 220 accounts with ATD security service were found to be used by an employee who was promptly fired. He was able to access external and internal camera systems of customers via his email address, which he installed on the customer accounts. It is possible the perpetrator might have done the same thing with customer systems in neighboring cities, and the company is apparently investigating. From People.com, Telesforo Aviles, that's going to be a hard word for me to say because of my speech impediment. I do apologize. Used the camera systems to watch people undress and engage in intimate, private things. Over 4.5 years, he accessed the accounts over 9,600 times. Wow. He purposefully did this to customers he found attractive. This took place in Dallas, Texas, but there were questions about other cities. He pled guilty to the charges. There was another man. This is a different case, by the way. A whole different thing. Ryan Alden in Oklahoma, who put security cameras in bathrooms and bedrooms of young girls. So hidden cameras. He also liked to take pictures of women's skirts and in random places like gyms, etc. Because of course he did. He has a multitude of victims and many of them have not been identified. Another man, Terry Summer in Florida, put hidden cameras in a home. He watched, listened, and recorded the family as they lived in the supposed safety and privacy of their own home. He also had recordings of children, some of which included SA. I'm not going to go into detail on that. Let's just say he belongs in prison for life. I have so many questions. With Aviles, was he a cluster stalker? Did he have more victims in other cities? Did he only just watch his victims? That is bad. That's really bad. But did he do more? Have investigators looked at SA crimes involving people who had ADT systems and other possible crimes connected to the scumbag? Is he a cluster stalker? I have similar questions about Alden. Just how many people has this particular scumbag victimized? Was he a cluster stalker? Is it even possible to identify all of his victims? So many questions that will probably never be answered. And Summer, he was a trusted friend of the family he victimized. But were they the only family he did this to? If I knew him, I would be tearing through my home to make sure my home and my family were safe. I keep coming back to the deep understanding that laws really need to be updated, and all of the different aspects of cyber crimes need to be accounted for and taken seriously. Cyberbullying, cyber stalking, hacking, doxing, the rest need to be taken just as seriously as real life crimes, because really they do have profound impacts on real life, on the victims that are forced to deal with these perpetrators. Now let's consider someone who doesn't install hidden cameras, but does hit people hard in various ways online and in real life. KJ. So here you have a person who it has come out that she was possibly connected to having her subscribers and stans mass flag anyone she thought of as a competitor, or someone she didn't like, or someone who criticized her behavior. So mass flagging, doxing, hacking, emails, threats of doing horrible things to people. Just, there's a lot that she either has done or has possibly potentially been connected to, allegedly. Targeting women, like, she has a set pattern of victims that she will target. So we have women who are pretty successful, smart, popular. You know, they're becoming more and more successful online, i.e. Emily D. Baker, etc. She targets men. She will target children. Especially if somebody is vulnerable. Tati Westbrook was vulnerable at the time that, if I'm not mistaken, at the time that KJ started to go after her. There are patterns that I'm noticing, and there are also these small extinction bursts. It seems like when something goes sideways for her, something goes wrong, she lashes out. That is what I'm seeing. I'm not looking at this from the perspective of a commentary channel or a drama channel, T channel, any of that. I'm looking at this from the perspective of I study stalkers. And I try to help people with stalkers. So part of the reason I'm making this particular video is that people need to start thinking more carefully about cyber security. If you have a security system in your house, who is installing that? Who has access to that? Who can gain access to your home via these cameras, right? I don't know much about the ADT camera systems. If I do, I would be better able to advise you on this. But if you have something where you have to add an email to access it, well, check that every once in a while. Make sure there's no email on there that you don't recognize. And if there is, take action. If you have a friend that you trust, you think they are a wonderful person, you never know. You never know. Don't give them free reign access to your home. I don't let anyone have free reign access to my home. Except for my kids. That's a whole different thing. The other guy who put hidden cameras, Lord. I do not like going into public bathrooms. I'll take a jacket with me and just kind of lay it over me, because you never know. You just never know, right? But it's the same, it is similar to being online. You have to look at protecting yourself and your family, not only in real life and in security systems and cameras and whatnot, but also online. So you have people who will purposefully cyberbully, all these things, and especially when you have death threats to people's family and children and everything else. That is going to weigh on people. That is going to be extremely stressful. It is terrifying. It will have an emotional impact. Therapy helps. There are support groups out there now for people who have been stalked, cyberbullied. There are support groups out there. And many of them, if not a majority of them, are free. I highly suggest looking into that if you have suffered through this. So, there was I've been asked many questions about extinction bursts. So I'm going to talk more about that in the next several videos because it is important. So I'm not just going to talk about this with KJ because she's just an example I can show you of a possible toxic person who is showing extinction bursts. Possible, right? You could have a mother-in-law, you could have a sibling, it could be one of your parents, it could be a coworker, a friend, an ex-friend, someone you have booted out of your life, whatever. A lot of the time, they'll display all kinds of toxic behavior, and then you kick them out of your life. You're like, no, I'm done. When they realize they will no longer have access to that narc fuel from you, then they may come after you. Sometimes it'll just be a bunch of rumor mongering to the people in the town you live in or what have you, to your social network, to your family, to your friends. So it could be more of a social slandering, really, is what it is, right? So they may make up horrible things and say that you did them, but you didn't. Or it can get physical. So that means they can, start destroying property. Like if you own a house, they can try to burn your house down or something. I have seen that, actually. It's pretty scary. Try to damage your vehicle. They could, I've heard of situations where the toxic person tried to abduct a person's children. I've heard of, I've seen someone try to forcefully, and did, rip a fence apart with their bare hands. Like, I'm still stunned by that, if you can't tell. That was really intense. So it can go a number of different ways. And that person who tried to tear the fence, or who did tear that fence apart right there, had already broken into that person's house a couple of times. Just, went up to their work and tried to get them fired. It was a lot, and that's why we were there. Thankfully, we were able to prove that person broke into the house a couple of times, and they were arrested and charged for that. So, and then destruction of property, and there was a bunch of stuff. So, extinction bursts can be mild, or they can be a lot. A person can have what I call cluster extinction bursts, so they can have a bunch of them at one time, like spread apart, right? Or it's just one big thing. Or they can kind of have a cycle. So they'll have a few bursts, cool down for like a week or two, and then boom, more. So it can be a pattern. It can be a cyclical pattern. And with people like that, usually they're very highly abusive. And a lot of the time, they're not even physically abusive. Those ones, usually, they are verbally, socially, and emotionally abusive, like mentally, emotionally, all of that, and socially abusive. So, it is my opinion, in my experience, from what I'm seeing, and I'm probably not seeing everything, bear that in mind, but from what I am seeing, KJ would be, she would be a cluster burst. She has, and she's cyclical, she has a pattern, so there are clusters of extinction bursts when she feels rejected. When she's called out for bad behavior, when something doesn't go her way, when she is overly stressed, more than likely, in order to alleviate that stress and feel like she has retained some semblance of control, she lashes out. This is all my opinion. I could be completely wrong. But all things considered, I don't think I am. I don't know. I think there's way more going on than I know about. There's probably way more than anyone knows about yet. There's probably a lot more that's going to come out. So with the, yet again, I grabbed the wrong mouse. With that ADT stalker case, that is terrifying. That is terrifying. It makes me wonder what measures ADT is taking now to keep things like that from happening. I hope they are upping their game with their security for their customers. I don't know. I might do a live stream on this at some point. It would be nice to hash it out with people on this. But it's really worrisome to me because for me, when I was working in security, my main focus was the safety of my clients. But I understand that not everyone is that way. I get it. And there are abusive people will mask themselves. They will put on a mask, right? So he had the mask of being someone who could be trusted to install security systems for people or to do service maintenance on those systems or the cameras or what have you, right? And instead, what did he do? He took advantage of that and he abused who knows how many people. That's what abusers do. That's what stalkers do. So to everyone who was, God, my heart goes out to everyone who was affected by Avils. I'm probably completely saying that name wrong, and I'm so sorry to anyone out there. Not to him, but So to the people in Dallas who were affected by this, and I mean possibly the areas around Dallas, I'm so sorry that you went through that. To the victims in Oklahoma, man, that is terrifying. That is the stuff of my nightmares. Lord. And to the family who was hurt by this, Terry Summer. I remember hearing about this, and this was a couple years ago, and man, I was like, I don't really want to, do I have to let anyone else in my house ever? Yeah, maybe not, and say I did and call it good. Alright. Oh boy. And to anyone who has been affected by what's going on with KJ, or if it's one of her stands, my heart goes out to you as well. I hope you're doing okay. Make sure to build your case. You know, go to law enforcement immediately. Advise them of the situation. Don't forget to ask for police reports, or I don't know what they might be called in your jurisdiction, but we usually call them item numbers. Just so you can document that you in fact called the police and filed a complaint and all that. I don't know. I don't understand why people do these things. Isn't there enough to do in life without causing all kinds of mayhem and pain online? I don't know. I don't understand that kind of. I think it's a mental illness. I don't understand that kind of behavior. Okay. I am currently doing research on the ADT stalker case, but I want to do that really carefully. I don't want to name any of the victims. I don't want to go into certain kinds of detail, but I just want to know more. I want to understand the offender a bit more, in the hopes that maybe through that understanding we can all avoid having that happen to us, right? All right. This camera is kind of weird. All right, so remember, you have the right to say no. Your no should be respected. And if it isn't respected, cut that person out of your life. And also, don't with the hidden cameras and invading people's privacy and just being a scumbag. Just don't. And, oh, on top of that, yeah, it's never a good idea to mass flag, hack, dox, and all this and that. There's always going to be a trail of who did what. All right. See you guys later. Bye. Hello. If you have enjoyed this video, and if you're enjoying my channel, then please like, subscribe, share, follow, ring the bell, and hit all. Comment, all of the above. It all helps with the algorithm to get the videos up so that people who need them can see them. And that is the whole point of what I'm doing. Thank you, and have a good day, night, or whatever. Bye. See you later.